heard of him. So I wanted to show you how you can make a painting in an impressionist style, where you just make strokes on paper to color. So we don't do any blending. We can work with color pencil or we can work with crayon. So I wanted to show you this painting, and then we are going to try and recreate it. This is a very famous painting. Have you seen this before?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have, no? So this painting is very sweet to recreate. We just make a pot, a golden flower pot, and then we make these circles and ovals and petals. And then when we are painting them, I wanted to show you how to paint them with just strokes. Okay, shall we do this?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So I want you to see the painting and then just follow me as I show you the how to create the painting to look like this. You won't have the reference image, but I will use this reference image to show you how to paint, to draw it first and then how to paint it. Okay, so in our book, we are going to make a frame. Then towards a few fingers up, we are going to make the table. And then a few fingers up in the center, we will make this pot. And then we are going to make circles in which we are going to make flowers. All right? So just follow me and we should be able to do that. Okay, hold your book upright today. And our painting is going to be about this big. That's pretty big. So the picture is about this wide. So I'm going to make my horizontal line here. And then I'm going to measure this. You can measure it with another tool if you want. And then just a little more than the horizontal is our vertical. It's not 1.5 times. It's not, it's just about 1 and. So if you imagine half of this and half of this, just a quarter, maybe a quarter more should do. Just this tall. So 1 and 1/4. And please don't use a scale for this. Just use a freehand line to draw this. Draw the lines slowly. Even if your lines are wonky, this will look nice. Alia, hold your book always whenever you're drawing. Don't hold your chin. Now our flower vase is going to be about this big. It's not too big. So before that, see, it's not even at half. This is where the half point is. Can you imagine where the line divides the frame in half vertically and horizontally? That's somewhere about here. Okay. So somewhere in the center, we will make an oval shape first. And this oval shape is made very scratchily. And towards the bottom, we will make the center. This is one center of a flower. Then we will make one more scratchy oval. It's scratchy on the top, and then the bottom is slightly smooth. This is the second flower. And from underneath here, we will make our vase. Where the vase bulges, we will make one more line. And then underneath this vase, we will, the center line, we will draw the table. Are you with me? Oh, Alia has completely disappeared. Now we will draw one circle which is about this big over here. A scratchy center. Another circle that's about this big. This has a scratchy center also. So these are all old sunflowers. Their petals have all fallen off. Now to the right of the last circle that we've drawn, we'll draw a circle that's slightly smaller. And from here, we have to draw petals. So you can draw these petals very haphazardly. Don't try to make them too fine. Right above this, we'll draw another flower, small oval, and more petals. These petals on the side are bigger. And then these are longer. The ones on the right are longer. So this flower will look like it's looking to one side because it's got some green sepals coming out from the other side. Then on the right, we will draw them. So these shapes, if you can make them exactly like how I made them, just the outer shapes, then this will look like the original Van Gogh painting. There seems to be one more flower over here with more petals. There's one more sideways with more petals. And then there's a big green flower which has only the back of the flower visible. It's slightly bigger. Here's the next one. It's being overlapped by the flower in the center, the sideways flower. And there's one on the side where you just draw the flower looking towards the right. And then you will draw some petals coming backward, bending over from the other side. and a stalk. So we'll make these stalks later also. So leaf here.
Slow down.
Oh, yes. I hope you're not erasing. Just draw. Yeah, even if they're a little all over the place. Hold the book, Alia. Hold the book. Done, Alia? Okay. Okay. Now the last flower is over here at the bottom. We'll draw these green circles first. See how I'm making room for the yellow. And then we draw yellow over here and then more of the green from the side. That's it. This is the painting. Now I'm going to show you how to do part of the coloring. And then I'm going to show you the picture and get you to paint it. The picture may not be very clear. Let me look for a clearer picture. So I think Van Gogh made a lot of these sunflower paintings. This is just one of them. Now, when we paint these, are you both going to use watercolor?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Good. Okay. So when we are painting these, we are going to do two things. We're going to put some washes down first, and then we are going to paint in strokes. That way we cover a large area and also can paint a little faster.
Oh,
So the first color we will use will be a wash of cerulean blue, a very light cerulean blue. See, just like this. And this time we are deliberately going to make some, I think cerulean blue and a little bit of lemon yellow might also do. So it becomes a bright color. Maybe some cobalt, just a little bit of cobalt. So it's a fairly bright greenish color. That's one color. Then don't paint yet. Then we have this mix of lemon yellow and gamboge. I'm removing the green that is coming now. So lemon yellow and a little bit of this gamboge color as the base. Always put the lighter colors down first. And then just a gamboge for the um, for the tablecloth or the table. So we have two colors ready, and then the final color will be this gambling. Are you ready to paint?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We are going to paint all the flowers green. What am I saying? Yellow. And make them very short, brief strokes. Don't make the strokes too fine. It's okay if some of the color goes outside the line that you've drawn. In the larger areas, press the brush down. This flower on the left is actually green, but I am painting it yellow first. The center of the flowers are brown, but we're still going to paint them yellow first. Now, when you're painting the vase, tell me when you're done, and I will then move to the vase. Now, for the vase, we are going to use again the same colors, but not all over. We are going to leave a small V shape over here, but don't make it with vertical line. We are going to paint this part with horizontal lines. So imagine the V shape over here. And leave that because that is a reflection. It's a highlight. So I think this is all the yellow that we're going to do. This is good. Now, if your strokes are visible, that is a good thing for this painting style because this is impressionistic. Your strokes are meant to be visible.
What
Done?
is the
Okay. Sorry?
impressionist? What does impressionist mean?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you. Impressionism was a style of painting in the late 19th century. Do you know what years the late 19th century would be?
Like 1990?
So when we say the 19th century, that is 1800 to 1900. When we say 1990, yeah, so 1990 would be the 20th century. Okay, because that's how we count it. When we say the first century will be from when?
0 to 100 BC.
0 to 100, correct? So everything before 100 would be the first century. Similarly, when we say the late 19th century or even 19th century, that would be what?
1800s.
1800 to up to 1900, correct. So always remember that when somebody says 18th century or 17th century, it is the period before the
So we're living in the
1700s.
21st century.
Exactly, correct. So in the late 19th century, some artists got together and they said, let's experiment with painting in such a way that we create an impression of something we see and allow the person who is seeing the painting to decide for themselves what it looks like. And some of them made paintings that were really abstract, and some of them made paintings which had very interesting, exciting strokes. And some of them made paintings with just dots, lines, some with squiggles. So I'll show you more as we proceed. Now, to this yellow, I want you to add a little bit of yellow ochre and a little bit of cobalt blue. So it starts becoming like this odd brown color. It's not exactly yellow, it's not brown, it's what one would call an ecru color, which is like a beige. And it's very light. If you don't get that light shade, this is the place where we are going to use a little bit of white. And I'm going to show you this color so you know how to what I'm seeing, and then you can mix the color accordingly. See this shade? See this shade? That's what we're making. So it's a very light beige colored shade. It's got a little bit of blue on the right hand side also. So look at how my shade is looking. And here also I'm going to paint it sideways. Now when I come to the right, I can take a little bit of cobalt blue, a little extra cobalt blue, mix it like this and add a cobalt blue shade. It's not so dark, but just a little bit should be fine. Now I've washed my brush, so I am spreading this with a wet brush, just to give it some texture. Now, if we get some streaks in our painting, don't worry about it, that would be good. The last part over here now is to paint the table. And for this, we will use short strokes of gamboge. And be careful when you come towards the vase. Try to not let the colors mix. So in a way, we are painting this in all the ways that I usually tell you not to paint. So normally I tell you, look at consistency, make sure your paint is flowing, all of that. But for this style, we don't want the colors to blend too much. So we are going to come back and make a texture on this. Now we can make a whole lot of that blue-green shade. that I spoke about earlier. It's more blue than green, and it's not really too bright. So in order to make this slightly dull, we can add a little cobalt blue. Now, if you need to, turn your book around and start painting in strokes from what is the bottom to the top. Go slowly and carefully between all the flowers that we made. Make sure it's a very light shade. Huh? Mine has become a little dark. So I am adding a little white now to this color. Or you can paint it very watery. Maybe I'll add some water also. Yes, this also fine. So one of the reasons why the Impressionists, I suppose, might have decided to paint like this uh, instead of painting in a very classical style. The classical style was a style where you drew very fine pictures. The detail was very accurate. You made sure that your strokes were very refined. You spent several months in your studio painting these pictures. One of the reasons that is thought of why many of these artists might have painted like this was because around that time, photography also became very popular. So a few years before, till a few years before, when people wanted a picture made, they had to come to an artist. And then if they came to an artist, and suppose you go to an artist when you're in the middle of the 17th century, say, and you tell them, look, I need a selfie made of myself and my mother and my dog. And then the artist makes a selfie in which your nose is crooked or your face looks funny. Then you'll go back to him and you'll say, what is this? Why you made my face so crooked? I want it to look exactly like me. So the skill of the artist was in making the painting look exactly like the person. Then when photography came, instead of going to the artist, you might just go to the photographer and you will get your painting made that looks exactly like your face. Then the artist will say, now what do we do? Now with photography, we can't do anything. Nobody will come to us. So what should we do? So then some of them must have thought, what can we still do that a camera cannot do? And one of the answers was imagine. A camera still can't imagine things. The camera will only capture what it sees in front of it, right? But an artist has a brain and can imagine a whole lot of possibilities. So then the artist said, let's imagine, what if we draw a painting of a person with just strokes of the brush, and the real person is there in the painting, but if you go close to the painting, you only see brush strokes. You don't see a person. But when you go far away, you then see the person. So that is an imaginary idea added to painting. So the whole point of being a creative person is that you must think of things other than what you see around you. That's our job for all of us. If we keep doing the same things that have been done by others, then what is our contribution going to be, right? All right. More on that in a bit. Now let's move on to painting the flowers. Now we can deepen the color a little bit. So we are going to hydrate our cakes. And this time we are going to use three colors. Some places we will use lemon yellow and gamboge, and some places we will use a yellow ochre. And we'll take a thin brush this time and lots of thick paint. And we are going to paint parts of the petals, some outside parts, some inside parts, not the whole petal, because, yes,
Is this
what
too dark?
happened? Is that, sorry, what?
Is the blue too dark?
No, I don't think so. It will dry up and become lighter. I think it's looking great.
Thank you.
So now take your yellows and make short strokes like that, very casual strokes. We are not filling the flower up because that will look very boring. So some petals are dark, some petals are light. And in between some of them, we will also put yellow ochre. See how casual the strokes are. They almost seem like they're careless strokes. And yet the painting will look very charming. So in a sense, the Impressionists broke a previous mold. You know what that means? What do you think that means? Breaking a mold. Do you know what a mold is? MOLD or MOULD?
How did you make the color that you're using right now?
I'm using it directly from the cakes. This is something we usually avoid doing. I'm picking up color like this. It's very thick and gloopy, and I'm using that for coloring. And when I come to the flowers, I'm deliberately just making strokes, very thin strokes in all directions. The brush will have more than one color in it. And that will look very nice on the paper. So again, one of the things these Impressionists did was to not mix the color in a palette. Usually we will mix the color in the palette, create the shade that we think is correct, and then we will apply it on paper. So what they did, especially Van Gogh, would just go out into the field and start painting. That was unusual. The artist would go out do a study of the field, and then come back into their studio and then paint. But the Impressionists decided to paint what's called plein air, Pleinair. The word is plein air. You might hear some people calling it plain air, but it's plein. It's a French word that means outside, outdoors, in the open, directly. Now, the same dark color we are going to put as a second layer on the vase. Slightly longer lines, but not all over. Just a little left of center, a little right of the reflection, and again towards the left. So we have one more highlight on the left side of the vase. All right, now I'm going to share the image with you, that which I am checking out myself, and see if you can decide uh, how to paint from here on, because we have 15 minutes for class to end. And if we don't finish the painting, at least you will know how to paint. Give me a second. I'm just enlarging that picture. In the meantime, let's start putting in some deeper colors. We are going to make a mixture of gamboge and yellow ochre and make tiny strokes around the center of these two flowers. And what I'm going to advise you to do is make these tiny strokes in circles going outward and overlap afterwards. Come back and overlap these later on. If you overlap when it's wet, then it will just become one smooth surface. And for today's painting, we want to avoid making a smooth surface out of it. As it turns out, when you make these kinds of lines in a drawing or painting, the lines attract your attention towards the center. And that's exactly how flowers attract attention towards their center when they arrange their seeds, or they evolve to arrange their seeds in this manner. They all point towards the center. This is to attract pollinators so that the seeds are dispersed and the plant then survives. See this? Now I'm going to share the picture with you. So I want you to make the next few shades and coloring by yourself. In some places it's got green also. Right in the center of the flower, there's a greenish color. And we haven't made any green yet. But I want you to try to think about how you're going to make the green of the leaves and how you are going to apply it. Think about it. Maybe you can try it out also. We have another 5-10 minutes. So if you have any problems, I can help you, because the rest of the picture you have to complete at home. I mean, you are at home. Complete before next week. So this is how the flower is completed. And the blue strokes, look at how the blue strokes are in the background. They're all vertical and horizontal strokes, isn't it? Can you see that? So we will do a second layer of that blue-green color in between the flowers. Now that is optional. You may or may not choose to do it. That's fine. I will be sharing this picture on the group also, so you can refer to it afterwards. Now the other colors that you will use will be a little bit of burnt umber, where we have a dark brown color, a little bit of green, which could be a mix of lemon yellow, gamboge, and some blue, or maybe a little bit with sap green. I want you to try different colors and try to match them and create the right textures. Okay, Alia, don't hold your chin. Hold your book, please. You should avoid sitting with holding your chin. Okay, any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay, how are your paintings looking? Let's see. Let's see, Alia. How's it looking? Very nice. Looking good. Your the petals have become a little deeper in color. They're more yellow ochre
I put
than
yellow ochre color.
much more than necessary. But that's good. So now you know how much you should put and how much you should. I mean, how where you should uh, control the color. Always keep the colors to the lighter side so that you can deepen it later. And also, very important, you should have a test paper so you can check with a brush stroke what is looking accurate, check if that is what you need on the paper, and then use that. Okay, so remember that for next time. But still, complete the painting because it will look good only after it is fully done. Okay? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm going to ask you to do a slightly unusual task. This is not something that we do normally in an art class, but in the back of this painting, I want you to try and write a small note about Impressionist paintings or Impressionist artists. Can you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now the way to do it is also very important. I want you to read up and then write in your own words. Don't copy down what you read on Wikipedia. Okay? So
Yes, ma'am.
one way of doing research is to go to Wikipedia, or now even worse, because you guys, as you grow older, you might be able to do this on Chat GPT also. You can just say, give me a 200-word essay on Impressionist artists, and it'll just generate it for you. But you will not learn anything with that. Even when you just read and copy from Wikipedia, it's not enough. So I'm not too concerned about the language being impressive. That is not important. I want to know what you have understood of Impressionism. So, not on the back of this page, but on another rough sheet, I want you to write down a few questions that I want you to find the answers to. Okay, so first question is um, three famous Impressionist artists' word. Complete that sentence. Don't write it on the back of this paper because I want you to write your note in the back of this paper. Use another sheet. Any other sheet from an older illustration is also fine. Alia, are you writing this down? I'm going to ask you next time. Huh? So, three famous artists, famous Impressionist artists or Impressionists were. Okay. Uh, time frame. So, when okay, can you hear me? It might be a little noisy now. Okay. So when did Impressionism occur? And you can change this sentence afterwards. It's not the most correct sentence. Uh, Occurred and where? So the place and the time where this movement happened. Okay, we need to know that. Then, why do you think, wait, before the why, how are Impressionist paintings different from paintings before that? And why do you think they painted this way? So I've already told you a few things. You don't have to memorize it and you don't have to tell me exactly what I told you. That's just a hint at what I have read. But I want you to read up a little bit, find out some more stuff and put it down in your note. And if between the two of you, you find completely different things, completely different time frames, like one of you might find 1840 to 1910, the other one might find 1830 to 1890, whatever it is. Time can be very fluid depending upon what specific thing you are looking for. The Impressionist age could be anywhere between. There's no one right answer only. Okay. But I want you to dig up a little bit and also check more than one site. Wikipedia might have some information, then some other galleries might have some information. So I want you to do this research very, very acutely. Okay. So that maybe a month down the line, when someone sees your painting and they say, okay, will you tell us something about Impressionism? You should have at least the first few things that you can talk about by yourself. And not just my teacher said this, my teacher said that. Okay? That's the intention. So when you're done with the essay, please share it with me, but on the group. Because I'm going to tell the other batch also to do something similar. The painting will be different. They'll do something similar. And I want you to get into the habit of being able to write a note on the work that you do or the work that you study.
Write it in the
Right?
drawing, or do we like write it on a message and then send it?
Okay, wait, I can't hear you now.
Do we write it in our drawing book and like click a picture, or
Yes.
do we write it on a message and then send it?
No, just write it by hand on the back of this picture itself. So it'll always stay with it. And write it by hand. You don't need to type it out and print it out and paste it. None of that. Even if you write it all over the place, it's fine. If you want to write it creatively, that's even better. So if you want to make it like a poster, I'm happy with that also. Like, you know how they make these infographics? That's also fine. Whatever you think is nice, but in your words. Okay? This is a big skill, being able to take information, chew on it, come up with your own words, your own thoughts, and write about it. It's a very, very important skill. So I want you to learn that along with art. Yes.
Okay.
All right, so we'll end the session today. Okay? And
I want to show you a sketch.
okay, let's see. Oh my. Wow. That is so nice. Very good. Very nice. Proportions. I like what you've done with the lashes. How have you colored this, Avantika?
Ma'am,
Watercolor? Did you paint it with watercolor or did you use color pencils?
I used chisel markers.
Very nice. Very lovely. It's looking very good.
Only for the lips coloring, I use the chisel markers. For the lashes and the eyebrow shading, I've used normal pencil.
It's just a pencil. It's turned out really good. I used to make similar faces also. I really liked making faces. So make some more like that. Make some more with more detail. So I know that balancing the right side and the left side is very difficult. So don't draw the left side of the face at all. Just draw the right and try to do more detailing in it. Draw, maybe paint some makeup, maybe do some shading only on one side. On the other side, keep making hair.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so I'll see you next week.
Yes, ma'am.
Bye.
Bye.